Hey guys, it's Sean Bewley the Kid. Got my hat on. Means you're going to get a crazy adventure. This video is going to be about fear. It's going to be about fear maybe I should have had. It is also about fear that you could have, but you just don't know it. Now, before I get started, I'm going to just show you a little thing here where one day, about 10 years ago, my brother asked me, can you pedal this sky bike that's on this cable going across the canyon? He wanted to jump off the cliff, and I was like, sure. So I was pedaling this sky bike, and this is how it looked. Well, that wasn't real safe, was it? Especially when my brother's body slapped the top of that pine tree and he's like, ow. He's like, stop. And I couldn't hardly stop it because it had a lot of momentum. But anyway, now to our adventure story that has fear in it. So when I was a teenager, I used to climb all over the cliffs, jump off boulders and everything. I was just such a mountain person. I absolutely loved it. I was very physically fit. And then that continued on when I was in the Army. I was over in Germany. There was a lot of rock climbers over there, but I thought I can just climb without ropes. And so I used to do all this crazy climbing without ropes. And looking back, I'm thinking maybe that wasn't real smart, but that was me back then. So when I got out of the Army, I went to work for a company called Mathis and Mathis Mining Company. And the owners were pretty good friends of mine, so they actually had me move in their house. I actually lived downstairs in their son's recording studio, and that was pretty cool. But over time, Bob Mathis, he had me doing some work on a backhoe on some of his mining claims. But my absolute favorite thing was when Bob would take me on his prospecting trips. Now, that was really cool, and that's where our story's going to go. Now, one of the trips we went over to Mogollon, and we parked at this old ghost town area, and we hiked for a very long time. And he had a lot of mining claims from Mogollon all the way over to Cooney and Mineral Creek and that sort of thing. So we'd walk along, and he would point and say, I need a sample right there. So I'd get the rock hammer out, and I'd knock off some rocks and then put them in a little white bag so we can take to the lab. Now, on that particular trip, I had this big old backpack, and it's kind of heavy. And Bob didn't carry anything because he was in his 70s. And so I was kind of the mule. I carried everything. I took the samples. He just pointed it out. He was a pretty sturdy dude as far as we'd go down cliffs and things like that. And he was in his 70s, and he'd just kind of slide down on his butt. But anyway, we went prospecting for probably a good 6 hours. We went down canyons, up canyons, over side, and we followed these veins where there could be gold. And I thought nothing of it. I just thought, man, this is the greatest thing ever. Well, we got to this one place where there was this boulder, and he wanted a sample under the boulder, and I was like, oh, okay. Can't get under there. And so what he does is he had me take off the backpack, and he reaches in the backpack and he pulls out 3 sticks of dynamite. And I looked at him like, wow, I didn't know I had dynamite in the backpack. I had no clue. And so he took his pocket knife out, and he was cutting the sticks in half and ranging them different ways. And he packed them underneath that boulder and put some detonator cord and blasting caps and stuff like that. And he just lit it. And he said, you might want to step back. And me, I was already running. So I got behind a tree, and he's just standing out there in the open, and it just goes boom. And all this rock and dust and everything, all this stuff come falling down from the sky. And Bob just standing out there and he's just looking to see if he succeeded in breaking that rock up so we can get that sample. And I'm back there just thinking, wait a minute now, I was carrying dynamite for the last 6 hours and I didn't know it. And look at him, he stands out there and all this rock is falling down and I'm hiding behind a tree. So anyway, that was one of my adventure stories. It's not something that happens to just anyone, but it's interesting to think about that, because how would have I felt if I'd have known I was carrying dynamite? I'd have probably had a lot more fear. I'd have probably been really careful when I was walking. I'd have been a little bit nervous. But instead, for the last 6 hours, I was walking, sometimes slipping, falling down, didn't know I had dynamite in the backpack. So the lesson is, you're not scared of what you don't know about. So anyway, till next time, catch you guys later.
Bewley, the Kid.